What are the chances of both Jalen Johnson and Giannis Antetokounmpo sharing the exact same sun and moon combination? Giannis Sagittarius with an Aquarius moon. Jalen Johnson Sagittarius with an Aquarius moon. That from the Zodiac GM. He joins us now to talk NBA rumor landscape through a cosmic lens. Absolutely crushing it on social media. The Zodiac GM, Eric Torres. Thanks for being here, man. We appreciate it. We'll get to your best fits in a second. But first, how do you get into this? Because nobody does this the way you do it. You built a massive following doing it.
You're right. So I've always been intrigued about zodiac signs for pretty much all my life. So I think including sports into the mix was a unique, interesting thing that I wanted to get into. So eventually, starting roughly around 2018 season, that's how it all started. I grew this full database analysis with full teams and player signs, and from that point on, I started making theories and methodologies, and it grew from that point. So yeah, I've always been intrigued about signs.
And it has been so fun and intriguing to watch your entire process unfold on social media. So just so our listeners can kind of get up to date on some of the things that you've been working on, what was maybe a trade or a move recently in the NBA that you just knew would not work out because the zodiac signs did not align?
Well, as of latest last season, when Dame Lillard, or a couple seasons ago, Dame Lillard joined the Milwaukee Bucks, that was one of the more major ones that I looked upon and said, you know what, I don't think that's a good fit for Dame Lillard himself. It's not that he's a bad player; it's just that you have to find the right energies to surround him. Him being a Cancer leader energy, so I think from that point on, I felt that it wasn't a good fit. But yeah, so that was one of the bigger examples, but aside from that, the Luka Doncic trade was actually a neutral trade on both sides, and so far you see how it's panning out, especially on the Dallas side. So yeah.
I love the idea of the trade analysis from your standpoint. This is beautiful. So let's let you cook. Giannis Antetokounmpo, where should he land to get the best synergy around him for the Greek Freak?
Well, check this out. There's a team out in the West that's primed and ready to win it all. I think they have the right structure, and as soon as they acquire a player of Giannis's energy, it would bring him to an even elite status. And that team is the Houston Rockets. That team is built for Giannis's energy. If you take a look back at Giannis's championship season with the Milwaukee Bucks, the head coach there was Budenhauser, who was a Leo. Now, guess what? Ime Udoka is also a Leo. So that alignment alone is very strong. But then yet you have the talent in Kevin Durant and some of the younger guys there on that roster.
This is incredible. And I think of maybe a peek behind the curtain or maybe a peek into the future of where we could see honest, maybe just maybe. But there is another man who has been in the trade conversations as well. That's Anthony Davis. Where could some A plus landing spots be in the zodiac terms?
So there's two teams I'm keeping an eye out for Anthony Davis, and that's the Pistons, Detroit Pistons, and also Orlando Magic. Now, the Pistons, they already have a good structure in place, but including a player like Anthony Davis with his experience, championship pedigree, it will be a strong, strong fit for Anthony Davis to join the Pistons, along with the Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic signing Desmond Bain over the season, along with Franz Wagner and Banchero. Also, it's a strong fit for a player like Anthony Davis.
What about Ja Morant and the Grizzlies? Okay, it's not working out there. So where could you see Ja go
Yes.
to unlock his peak A plus potential?
You're right. So John Moran was an interesting situation. He was sort of like that outlier energies amongst all these energies that are compatible amongst themselves, right? With the Grizzlies. But if you fit him in a team like the Atlanta Hawks, I've mentioned this before, having a one-on-one trade, even with Trey Young. Trey Young would be a great, great fit for John Morant. Also, Chicago Bulls is another good fit for John Morant.
So
So
let
when
me
you're
let me let me
looking
ask you one more on that real quick. Like when you're talking
Okay,
about
okay.
five guys, right? So this is just
You're
always
right.
because you're talking about who fits right with Giannis. How much like is it one of those or with Ja? Sorry, do you need Ja in the middle and then everything around it surrounds? Like, how do you decide when you got five or six guys in one locker room, 10 guys in one locker room, which sort of sign is the main presence and how to build around it?
Well, the thing about John Morant, he's a dominant sign. He's a Leo. He's a double Leo at that. So a double fixed energy. So Leo's all about pride, right? So the thing, I always like to look at ratios, and each and every team has their own dynamics, right? So the dynamics with the Memphis Grizzlies is that they're dominant on a certain element type, right? But Ja Morant being a fire sign, it sort of sets off that imbalance. But since he is their go-to player, their featured player, it may or may not work. But the thing about the Memphis Grizzlies is that they have enough pieces to be cohesive to allow Ja Morant to run with that team. But it is causing a little bit of friction. As you notice, Memphis Grizzlies have been on a winning streak as of late, all without Ja Morant. So those are certain factors that I like to look for. I like to look at ratios of starting lineups in particular and so forth. So I think Ja Morant with the Memphis Grizzlies, not the best fit for him, but if you put him in the right situation, like in Atlanta with Jalen Johnson, I think it'll be a great, great scenario for him.
So when you're looking at compatible energies, what do you prioritize? Compatible energy with a coach, compatible energy with another star player, compatible energy with the entire starting five? What are you looking at here?
Each and every team, it's so unique, and so I like to look at player to coach compatibility. I like to look at rotational synergy. I like to look at top three hierarchy, the top three best players. I also like to look at the point guard position in particular. Like for example, in Milwaukee, Giannis, he needs a point guard to run along with him. So he was very compatible to Drew Holiday when they won the championship, but not as compatible to their guards as of late. So I like to look at an overall dynamic. So the synergy analysis is not just a one fit all analysis. It's only an ingredient to your overall analysis. So I look at everything. So in general, even the top two duos in the 90s, for example, up until today, you'll see a strong correlation. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, very compatible, Aquarius Libra, and so forth. Even to Steph Curry and Draymond, Pisces, very compatible. So you see it all across the historical history of the NBA.
Well, our eyes tell us the Clippers are terrible. All right, so let's figure out the Clippers here, right? So things like that, it seems they're broken. We'll go with Harden and Kawhi, the two big stars. So when the Zodiac GM studies them, what makes sense for Harden and then Kawhi?
As far as for them two playing together or going on to separate
Where they could
teams?
go? Like let's send them to other
Okay,
teams. Unless you think they have
okay.
synergy together, I don't want to step on you. You're the Zodiac GM.
The Kawhi Leonard, he would fit so well with the team like the Miami Heat and the Sacramento Kings, either or. I mean, his connection with Coach Bolstra in Miami will be elite, and that alone will bring Miami Heat in general to elite status in the East. Kings is one of those teams, and I've been paying attention for quite some time. It's as if they're almost there, but they're one or two moves away. But they just never seem to get that right trade or right acquisition. But if they get a player like Kawhi Leonard into that squad, Sacramento Kings will be a new team to look out for. And James Harden, speaking of James Harden, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh yes. Speaking of James Harden, his energy would connect well with a team like the Denver Nuggets or even Memphis Grizzlies. So either or of those teams would be a great fit for James Harden.
All right, Zodiac GM, what about Zion Williamson? It is clearly not working with the New Orleans Pelicans. What kind of bad energy is going on in New Orleans, and where would Zion be a good fit?
Well, the New Orleans Pelicans, it's so interesting because it sort of replicates of what Ja Morant is facing with Memphis. Again, Zion Williamson is sort of that outlier energy within the team. So if you look at the roster, Zion himself, and there's at least five core players that are outside of his energy type that's compatible, right? So in a sense, before the season started, I made a tweet and I said, or advised, or maybe suggestion, this might be the best time to trade Zion now, because his value is still fairly high, and you can get a really good return. I'd always thought him and Lauri Markkanen would be a great fit for swap pieces.
All right, so then what about teams out there that you look at already and you say, yeah, this team's never going to make it. They are not built the right way. Is there a team that you're out on based on their astrology?
Yes, Wizards. Wizards have each and every year. They're so imbalanced within whether the coach to player ratio. So Wizards have been one team. The Hornets, is also another team. A couple of years ago, I felt like they were so close to breaking out of it. A big part of their decision making was to hire Charles Lee, the head coach. And the reason why I didn't think that was a good acquisition is because you have the up and coming star of LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, and they're, LaMelo Ball being a Leo, Brandon Miller being a Sagittarius, but then it's an offsetting mix with the head coach. So there goes that ratio imbalance again. So in LaMelo Ball's career, he had yet has emerged to have a coach that's very compatible to him. I think once he gets that coach, you'll see a new level of LaMelo Ball come out into the NBA.
What about the Lakers? Because they clearly need some help defensively. So when you're looking out at some guys that could potentially be on the trade market, whose Zodiac would fit this energy with Austin Reeves and Luka and LeBron?
Right. There's one player that I think highly of. He's out in the West. And that player is Jeremy Grant from the Portland Trail Blazers. So I think if he fits right into this Lakers roster, it will be really, really good with Doncic. So that synergy. So Grant, by the way, is a Pisces, and so is Luka Doncic. Now that Pisces connection is a very strong connection. So I think Jeremy Grant and also a player like Dylan Brooks would fit very, very well with the Los Angeles Lakers. Dylan Brooks being a cusp of a Capricorn Aquarius.
All right, so we've buried the lead here. It's time to get honest and get real about this show. Like, we can't have you on and not ask about this show. Yahoo put us together. Yahoo Sports. Caroline and I have been friends for years. Now we get to work together. My birthday is June 3rd. Hers is July 17th. I don't know. Does this get us an A+ grade? Are we a dynamic duo that's made for the ages? What do we got?
Is a dynamic duo. The reason why, because you have a fair balance of a cardinal energy, a water sign such as Caroline. Now, the thing with Cancer energies, they're more like the emotional leaders, right? They're very empathic, loyal, intuitive. So when I look at that particular sign in a team sense, I feel like that's a very, very important energy to have. For example, Desmond Bain, double cardinal, who's a Cancer. So is Patrick Beverly. You just get a sense of that passion and the emotional leadership that they bring to the team, right? So I think that's a very, very strong value for that energy type. Now, Jason, you being a Gemini, you're very witty, curious, and you absorb information so well like no other. You're very versatile, and there's a lot of really, really good Geminis that's into media in general because the communication is almost elite. So I think that combination works very, very well, and it's a very strong dynamic duo.
Good job, Yahoo. God. Look at them.
You know,
they probably consulted
I've never heard a more
GM
perfect
together.
You know what? We all need your expertise and your insight. What you built is really incredible. We really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. Follow him on social media at the Zodiac GM. This is really incredible. Congratulations on building something so unique and so intuitive for you. It's really fun to hear your insight on it. And you'll have to come back and let us know. As we see trade deadline go down, you have to come back and let us know what works and what doesn't work to the Zodiac GM. We appreciate your time, my friend.
I would love to. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Jason.